Well, today we're taking a peek at the 2021 Toyota RAV4 Prime Edition, which is Toyota's plug-in hybrid. A lot of really cool things, some okay things, but all in all a pretty cool package. A way to efficiently get around town without going full electric. So let's get into it. Hey folks, welcome back to techgooch, and today we're in another vehicle. This is the 2021 Toyota RAV4 Prime Edition, which is their plug-in hybrid. Let's try that all again, huh? Son of a bitch. Oh, great. Great. And maybe that strap idea wasn't a great idea. That sucks. Yeah, I'm gonna undo it. Nope, it's not gonna go over well, is it? Okay, still synced? Alright. Welcome back to techgooch. Today, we're inside another vehicle. This is the 2021 Toyota RAV4 Prime. That's their plug-in hybrid. Essentially, it adds a full electric mode before the actual hybrid engine drive turns on, or the gasoline part of that at least. Essentially, this gets you what they claim up to 42 miles of pure electric mode until, well, you kind of run out of that EV range, and then you're going to have to go into the traditional hybrid setup where you have the gasoline engine and the electric motor hybriding between the two. But that battery gives you up to 42 miles of pure electric mode, which for most people, that's going to be all the electric mode you're really going to need almost 95% of the time. It's those other 5% that maybe you're leaving the city or doing something where you're going a little longer range out, that this then kicks in, goes into full hybrid. So yes, you will still have a gasoline engine. Yes, you'll still have to fill up the tank. But primarily, as long as you plug it in every night, you won't actually, drain the battery all the way every day. It's pretty awesome. To be honest, this is a really great stepping stone vehicle for those years ahead when eventually everything will go electric. That's how I see it, at least. But not everybody's ready for that. And to be honest, as a nation, we're not ready for that. We don't have the infrastructure in place to go full electric. We don't have as many places to stop and fill up, and they haven't really perfected the ways of stopping to fill up without taking hours. Whereas when you stop and get fuel, it's 15 minutes, you're back to full, and you're on your way again. So there's a lot to really like about this specific vehicle because of that specific circumstance. I get all the benefits of electric mode for the first 40 miles. Then after that, I get all the benefits of a hybrid electric combo. So in all reality, for today's market, this might be one of the perfect SUVs. It really, you look at it, it's not as forward thinking as a pure electric vehicle, but for most people, you won't get that, oh, my battery's about to drain, where do I charge? That anxiety that a lot of people with electric vehicles face, and they openly talk about. If you are you have a lot of ingenuity, and you live in a certain part of the country that has a lot of electric chargers, fantastic, go that route. But if you don't, this is a great way around it. So for that big middle section of the country, this vehicle actually makes more sense in a lot of ways than a standard electric vehicle. And I can't wait to see what Toyota does with this. If they continue the hybrid mode comparison in combining, maybe they eventually get the battery and technology and the motor technology to the point where they get a little bit more range without jumping into the hybrid gas mode. So for what it is, it's a pretty cool car. So similar to other videos, what we're going to do is we're going to dive in a little bit to, well, the primary focus of this video, the technology behind this vehicle. And we've been kind of talking about the hybrid electric mode combo, and that's really what this vehicle is mainly about. The other things obviously are the entertainment center, the heads-up display, which in this vehicle, similar to the Venza that I just finished reviewing last week, this also has the holographic heads-up display that bounces off the windshield and gives me information about the road and, of course, my speed and things, which I love that. That is one of my new favorite things. More vehicles should be offering this, and maybe they all kind of are starting to, and it's fantastic. There are a few things that I think could be upgraded, like, and especially coming off the Venza review. The Venza had a larger 12.3-inch display. This does not. This has the smaller 9-inch. Now it's a large display for all intents and purposes for most vehicles, at least for years past. That's something I think that they're going to be upgrading. I would bet soon, maybe in the 2022, maybe on the later model. But it feels a little more outdated. It's the same radio that I actually have in, pretty much at least, in my 2020 Toyota Sienna, but it's displayed a little bit differently, of course. However, that large widescreen display with more touch controls and stuff in the Venza is definitely more futuristic, which, being the Prime plug-in, this is kind of the forward-thinking model. I can't wait to see where they go with this. I think this is going to be, I think it's a very popular method of doing this vehicle, creating that full electric mode before you even get to the hybrid mode, extending your range, extending a lot of things, and I like it a lot. But we're going to start by talking a lot about the technology that's in the dash here, kind of go over the driver controls and stuff. Then we'll kind of finish with the engine and stuff, and we'll do a little performance thing. It's kind of the same performance thing I did on the Venza. Nothing too like timetable-esque or anything like that. We're just going to feel how well the acceleration handles, specifically in pure electric mode, which is what I'm in right now. And I'm about to actually run out of electric mode, and I'm going to be going into hybrid mode in what they claim is 2 miles. And so I really wanted to do it on camera because I wanted to showcase what it sounds like, I guess, between electric mode, which is what we've been driving in, and hybrid mode, one with the gas engine actually going. So I don't think there's going to be a drastic difference, but I can't wait to actually see that, or hear that, I should say. So we got a couple miles before that. Until then, I wanted to show you at least what the dash looks like for the electric mode, because it's going to change as soon as we run out of juice and we go into hybrid mode. That distance to empty and the fuel economy capability of it definitely changes. When we're in electric mode, it goes by miles per kilowatt hour. Of course, when we change over to hybrid mode, it's going to go miles per hour, or miles per gallon, right? So a little bit different way to looking at it, but that's here pretty soon. Perfect place I need to do this real quick because I'm at a red light. But you can see here's where we have the efficiency that we have the 2 miles remaining, 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour, which kind of goes between 2.6 and 3.2 is what I've been kind of getting. And so I'm in a parking lot right now, but you can see that's what the heads-up display looks like. Right now I'm parked, so I'm not showing anywhere. And also, kind of on this side of the screen of the speed is where the actual speed limit side comes up when you're actually driving on roads. That it recognizes and actually puts a speed limit in, which I will say is probably 90+% of the time for me, at least so far. But you do get some of those side roads, smaller roads, that it doesn't actually put a speed limit up because maybe there's not really posted limits. But even though residential areas, it's typically 25. But that's what it looks like. You have your direction, you have your stuff. And that's just a hologram that's actually bouncing off of a screen that's down in this cubby hole down here. And you don't see that off to the side. You can see how it disappears. But in the driver's point of view, you do see it. Works great. I love that. So I did want to show while I'm sitting here, I turned off the vehicle, and I thought I'd show what it feels like to have, well, an electric vehicle in all reality, because it still is in electric mode. Because my wife found it really eerie, and of course people that have electric cars already know what this is like. But I push the brake pedal in, and then I hit the start button, and she's ready to go. I mean, there's no engine starting or anything. It's just ready to go. Of course, you can wait till the driver's information stuff comes up or the radio comes up. But in all reality, oh, look at that garbage. Put it in drive, and away we go. So I'm sitting here. I've just got 1 mile left of EV mode now, but I'm in park. But I want to show the differences in audio. So right now, if I pull it out of park, put it in reverse, you'll hear this kind of humming. If you go outside, you can hear a lot. And that's just me. I even have the front of the brake. I'm not moving. And of course, it's going to sound a little different as if I'm actually moving. Of course, we have all the cameras. Put it in neutral. You'll hear it kind of goes away. Drive. Pretty silent. But it's that neutral, it's just or reverse that's just has that weird sound to it. It's so weird. So we're still in EV mode, but I thought we'd go through the driver's entertainment or driver's system to kind of show you. So on the bottom, we go across the bottom, we actually have all the goodies, but there's 3 pages up and down here on the eco settings here. If we go to the right, we'll get the information on having when we're on cruise control, the lane assist, things like that. Go to the right, we got music. That's right now I have it off, but if you were playing music, information would show up here. The information on the vehicle itself, so the battery, the trip distance we just started. Here there's our how many PSI we have in each tire, right? And then our all-wheel drive, we can actually see which vehicle wheels are actually getting the traction or the power, right? Settings, we can change the settings if we want to turn any of this information stuff off. Same with the HUD. If you don't want the heads-up display up here, you can actually turn that off. And it's up to you whether or not you want that on or off, right? You can choose that all in here in the settings. And then if we go over here, if there's any messages like, hey, you got a maintenance appointment or whatever coming up, it'll all tell you there. So, yeah, that's what that looks like. Okay, couple things real quick I wanted to go over that I didn't show earlier, and now that it's night, it's a little different, but is these dials on the left and the right. I didn't talk about it when we were talking about the driver cluster. The left one is going to be power, so, you know, as you're driving, if you are driving well, you're going to be in the eco mode. If you're kind of heavy on the pedal, you'll only be in the power setting, and then when you're slowing down, you're actually not using the accelerator, you could actually be charging. So that's what that low, when it dips below. Then on the right, we just basically have our fuel gauges depending on, well, if you're in hybrid mode or if you're in electric mode. So the top is obviously fuel, and that's going to be in hybrid mode, gas, how much gas we have in the tank. And the lower one is how much electrical charge we have available to us. Now, right now I still only have 2 miles available, so I'm pretty low on the scale, but that's where we can actually find out that information analog, with kind of the analog digital things, but yeah, that's that. Okay, down to the left-hand side of the steering column is where we're going to have lighting controls down here. We'll have automatic high beams. We'll have automatic windshield wipers. We'll have the camera view button, which we're going to go over here in a second. Heated steering. There's an AC outlet down here. That's where you can actually turn it on or off. And then the hatch itself is right here as well. Moving along to the climate controls, we have the standard knobs, which, like I said in my Venza video, I prefer these knobs. I like having knobs. They just feel good, and they have that more nostalgic, I guess, feel to them. We have our heated seats, but we also have cooled seats as well, so we can do heating or cooling in 3 different levels of each, in both the passenger and driver. Traction control off buttons over here. I don't know what normally would go here because this is one of the higher end models too, so you can see all of our standard climate stuff. I'm not going to go through that. Most people understand how that works, on-off button. And then on our steering wheel, again, volume controls here for our heads-up display, driver's display. We can change everything here with our cruise and everything like that. Again, like I said in the Venza, I actually prefer my cruise controls back behind the steering wheel. That's personal. I know that's everybody's has a different feeling, so I'm not as keen on this, but it works. It works just fine. I've had vehicles like that as well, and then we can set our lane departure or our settings for the cruise stuff. So, and then of course music control. One thing that the Venza did not have is paddle shifters. So you can see the minus button here and the plus button here. We actually have paddle shifters. They're right behind the steering wheel right here. And of course on the other side for the plus. So if you do put it in your selective drive mode over here, which you just go into drive and then push this guy over to the left, now we can actually use our paddle shifters to control the automatic transmission essentially, but it does give you a little bit more manual control than you would typically have with just being in drive. And then of course down here is where we have our auto EV, HV modes. We can put our parking brake on, go to trail mode. We can go between eco and sport modes here, and change how everything shifts and everything. So here we have normal mode, eco mode, sport mode, and then the button trail mode. All that stuff's built in down here. And then if you're familiar with the standard Toyota display here, basically we have our standard, I'm not going to go through everything because this is the standard Toyota display, but we have our maps under our destination here, and we can actually see our maps where we are, audio, phone, apps, projection. If you actually have, this does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so it has all that capability built into it as well. And then Amazon's Alexa is actually built into these as well, just like any Toyota vehicle essentially. Overhead, we're going to have our light controls where we'll actually have the lights. Now, I would actually prefer the lights on the Venza a lot more than these. These are more of the traditional standard ones, same ones that we basically have on our van. And then we have our door controls and our light, basically both lights, or the whole cabin light, I guess is maybe the best way to say it. This is going to control our sunroof, whether or not we actually have that open or shut. This one actually has an actual sunroof. And then this would be our shade itself. Now, unlike the Venza, this does not have the electrochromatic because they don't offer it on this guy. But we can actually close and just bring it back to anything. And that's like anything, to be honest, any vehicle that has a sunroof. But it does have the front sunroof and rear. The rear one does not open like the front one does, but it does give you that full cabin amount of light, which is nice. Okay, let's talk about the mirror, because this is one of those things that I didn't talk about in my last video, and because I completely forgot to talk about it, to be honest, on the Venza. But on the RAV4, it's going to be a similar experience where we have our home link settings, the 1, 2, and 3. That's going to be for our garage doors. We can actually control up to 3 different garage doors if you click it. Right now it's not set up, so it's not set up, but I'm going to hit exit here. Then we have the 3 buttons on the right, which are just a menu, like left and right, and then also the actual settings button. And so we can actually choose to control, have automatic dimming. If we want to set up home link or change our language, we can do that here. And if you just let it go, it'll just return back to being a normal mirror. However, the old somebody's got their brights on behind me and flipping this up at night, doesn't do that anymore. Now, if you flip this up, it goes into an actual video camera display. The rear camera is on, and I'm seeing what the rear camera sees. This is really handy, especially if you have maybe a whole bunch of stuff in the back, like maybe you're moving and the back seat's completely clogged up with stuff and you can't see over it anyway. I can actually leave this on while I'm driving and see exactly what's behind me. It's just a really easy way to overcome something. Well, there's already a camera back there, so I might as well have that access to it, So I apologize for not saying it before, but that is a fantastic add. So according to the heads-up display, I still have 1 mile of electric mode available until electric mode ends and we go into hybrid drive mode. Now, I can change that obviously at the click of a button, to be honest, but I'm going to run this guy until basically the end and see how it actually changes over without me actually doing anything. So that's what we're gonna film here next. Okay, so we're driving again. My EV mode says I have 1 mile available, which then it should automatically kick over to hybrid mode. I shouldn't, to be honest, other than maybe hearing a change and seeing a change on my heads-up display on the driver information center, the vehicle shouldn't change. It should just keep going. It's just, it's extending my range by popping out of the just full electric and actually using the hybrid mode. So I do have a button. I can change that. I can actually go into hybrid mode right now if I wanted to. I kind of thought it'd be best, let's just do it. Let's just let it run, see how it actually changes over. If I notice anything, it's the best way to actually do it, right? And see how it actually changes while it's happening. Zero miles. So we're in the fumes stage of my EV range. One of those other things to get used to, and this is with any electric vehicle or hybrid even, is the wind down when you're hitting the brakes. I like it. My wife thinks it kind of sounds funny, but I'm almost finding myself that I, as a tech geek, I love the sound of the electric motor more than I like the sound of like really throaty engines. And I've always always liked engines. I've always liked the way they sound, specifically ones that just have a really good throat to them. But I gotta be honest, the silent driving with that kind of whine of the electric motor, it was odd at first, but now with the RAV, I'm really liking it, because in the RAV, you're hearing it all the time, because I'm not just in hybrid. I'm not hearing any engine noise at all. Well, I'm about to, but yeah, it is what it is. So we are officially in hybrid drive mode now. Out of the full EV mode, we're in HV mode. So let's see, now I'm at the first intersection essentially with just the HV mode built in, which is going to be different because right now it's claiming my average miles per gallon is 45.1. But yep, you can hear the engine. So now we have engine noise. Which is crazy because I've had this vehicle for almost a week now. I have plugged it into my house twice to fully charge it. And it's different to finally actually sit here with the hybrid mode with the engine going. Interesting. Well, let's talk about charging next. So now we're going to talk about charging. There's a few things that we can actually do to charge this vehicle. One, we can actually go to a universal charger, which we'll go to here shortly. Or we can actually charge at home. Now, if you already have a universal high wattage charger, high amperage charger, great. You're going to be able to charge this thing in like 4 hours or so, give or take. Now they have, depending on the charger, it all depends. And I'm not going to get into that whole breakdown. But what you can do is if you don't have an electric charger, you can use this, which essentially is a way to convert your standard 110 outlet to plug your EV. Toyota gave us this. This is a way to charge your 42-mile range RAV4 Prime in approximately 12 hours from dead to full. It's an overnight charger. That's the best way to put it. But if you're only charging for 8 hours, you're not going to get the full range if you're dead already. So, but it is one way to do it. Specifically, if you're not even utilizing the entire range every day, with this guy, you can trickle charge it all night, be ready the next day, and you don't even have to pay to upgrade to put in a 220 volt outlet or something like that up here in your garage. We can do that all with this. So let's do that real quick. One thing I did find that I'm going to point out, this thing's not light. Now you can see there actually are two mounting holes, one on each side. You're actually going to want to screw this to the wall and then plug it in, because if you plug it in, it will pull out. It will not stay there. It's just too heavy to just go by this plug. Now in this case, this is a trial thing. I do have a heavy gauge extension cord. It's only it's a short one, but it is a heavy gauge extension cord so that we can actually plug this into the vehicle. I'm going to get this out of here real quick. So now I have the I guess the smart end of the charger in the garage. It's out of the weather. Push on the door, open it up, take out the little protective weather cover. Same thing on the charge end. Plug it in. That should click on, and this should light up. So this is more up and personal with this guy, where the plug-in this guy goes in. If for some reason you can't get it good, so let's see, let's lock the vehicle. Sometimes it's already locked, but if I actually do this, I'll set it in here and I'll plug it, and you'll see this back in here. There'll be a lock that actually pops down and locks this guy into place. You'll see it here in a second. Boom, she's locked in place. Now I can't actually grab this and unplug this. It's actually locked. The only way to do that is on my key fob. If I hit unlock, she'll lift up, unlock, and now I can actually pull the charger off of the vehicle. So I'm going to actually go ahead and let it charge up overnight tonight. So there we are, locked in place. Nobody can actually take this out of my vehicle. I'm going to leave it just like it sits. Now, one of the big buttons that I briefed over real quick earlier, this is going to be more about the EV on HV mode. Now, this button right here, I can change between HV mode, and if I click it, I go to EV mode. Now, it's actually showing up here. So EV mode, HV mode, right? I can go between my electric mode and my hybrid mode. However, as you can see, it says charge, hold. So if I actually push and hold this button, you'll see it actually goes into charge mode, and then there's the engine that kicks on. So even though I'm stopped, the engine is now running. It is charging the battery for me. So charge mode, obviously, You'll be in hybrid mode, but the engine will not stop even at intersections. It'll just keep charging the batteries the best that it can. So if you don't want to do that, obviously that's going to eat at your fuel efficiency quite a bit. So you can just go in hybrid mode and then, of course, charge the battery when you get a chance, either at home or... So on the side here, we actually have our charge door. It's actually just a push and it'll open up. And then we have our charge port right here. Now, I am actually at a spot that has a J1772, what they call a universal electric, not a Tesla charger like he's using over there. This one's just the standard universal plug, which I've actually never plugged one outside of the house. Plug it in there. You hear the click, it actually locks it. It actually will lock it into place when you go away from the vehicle, but it'll actually, you can see that it actually is charging. You can actually hear that kick on right now, power and charging. So it's actually charged the battery. Now this is going to charge at a faster rate than the home charger, the standard 110 volt plug that I have that I spoke about already. But this will be a lot faster. Then you can go in and get your supper or whatever, or get your, just take some time away from the vehicle and get it charged back up. No, I did not stay where I was. I didn't really charge where that charger was, because I'm just here to just show, I guess, if nothing else. But if you're ever going to stop at a place that doesn't have a place where you pay to charge, you're going to want to actually get permission to do it. Now, in this case, this is actually for hotel guests over here, and restaurant guests at this restaurant, which I'm currently not staying at or eating at, which is why I didn't feel comfortable actually charging my vehicle, but at least demonstrating it to you. So that's just the courtesy, the best courtesy, common courtesy thing to do. And don't get upset if they say no, specifically because they're not charging for that EV station. That's for people that actually are staying there or eating there, and they can charge their EV while they're eating or sleeping in their hotel. It's just kind of part of their thing. And that's nice that a lot of places like that do that, and I hope that it continues, but of course it won't continue if people take advantage of the system. So don't take advantage of the system and freely charge your EV when you're not actually being a customer at their place. That's just wrong. So here we are. This is the 2021 Toyota RAV4 Prime, which is, as the badge says, a plug-in hybrid. As before, the Venza, we do have up on the front, we have the sensors here, but we also have our camera, our front camera. On the side here, we have a mirror with the cameras underneath. And this is going to be basically for all the Toyotas that have the same setup here. This is an all-wheel drive version. And the black and the red just scream. I love it. RAV4 Prime emblem here, and then the XSE model here. All around, it's just a beautiful vehicle. I really like it. This is, for what it is, I really like the RAVs. They look good. They're a really sharp vehicle. I'm not going to say they're perfect, but they're very sharp. Rear seat, just to show that. So I'm a 5'11" adult. I have the front seat set for my height, and I still have a few inches of room. We do actually have two 2.1 amp USB chargers back here, as well as our air coming back as well. And then we have our nice sunroof on this version as well. Also, something to mention, heated seats. Just a button here on and off. You're not going to have the same level of adjustment as the front ones do, but you do have heated seats on both sides. And they're just controlled here on the door. Moving to the back hatch to see how much storage space we have back here. And as before, as always, you gotta have the item here that actually, you can take this out, right? If you don't want this here, you can actually pop it out. But we do have more storage space than what the Venza actually has. And if we saw before up front, we saw that button. There's where our AC volt, our 110 volt guy here is our 120 actually, and then our 12 volt plug here. Let's see what's under here. Your spare tire right underneath, so there's not a whole lot of extra space we can actually get out of this guy, but not needed. This one actually has a decent amount of space behind the rear seats. So cargo storage space on the RAV, not too shabby. So the the Prime version of the RAV4 actually starts at about 38, little over 38. This is the XSE package, which they have an SE and an XSE. XSE is obviously the upper one. The XSE starts at 41.5 roughly. This specific one that we're sitting in stickers at 49.5. But that's also because they have the premium package on the interior. It's a 10-inch display. It's got roof rack on top. It's got door sill guards. It's got a whole bunch of stuff, some electronic stuff, all the premium stuff essentially for the interior. So this is kind of one of your higher end models within the RAV4 Prime range, at least. But it's got all the things you really want, of course, and of course some stuff that you don't need, of course, but she sits comfortable. So all in all, we're talking about, well, right now I'm actually in EV mode from charging it just from driving. I have that 2 miles. It's still at 2 miles that I got from doing its charge mode and actually just doing this video in general. What do I think of this vehicle? In all reality, I like this vehicle a lot. I think there's a lot of potential in these plug-in type hybrids where you get a lot of EV, or a decent amount of EV range, I should say, before it kicks into hybrid mode. But this is definitely for people that have that, or at least currently, we have a lot of people that are looking at EV vehicles and they have anxiety about running out of juice in the battery because there isn't the large range of plugging in and charging your EV like there is gas stations. They're not as prevalent yet. They are getting there, but they're not there yet. And the second thing is it takes a long time to charge your EV. Now, of course, that time is cut substantially the more powerful of a charger you get to. And superchargers are great, but they're still not the fill up your tank in less than 15 minutes. So this is a great stepping stone. You could think about this is, if you're an environmentalist, it's not as environmental friendly as EVs are technically, but they are in some ways actually better. But most ways of thinking about it is we can't, we're still putting at least a little bit of pollution in the atmosphere with the gas engine that's actually being pumped out during HV mode or hybrid mode. So in all reality, I think this is a fantastic vehicle for the near future. 5 to 10 years, I don't know where we're going to be. I hope that we're further along on the EV track, to be honest about it, because like this vehicle in EV mode is just plain fun to drive, quieter. Everything about it is just great. And people that hate EVs and those darn things, I don't get it because I love them, and I can't wait to eventually get a full EV car so I can really dive deep into that. But then again, for the first little while, essentially that's what this is. So thanks Toyota for making a solid vehicle. Do I think it's the best vehicle? No, there are some things that are a little bit not quite there yet, but it's pretty close for what it is. And there's hybrid mode kicking back in. So thank you for watching the video here on techgooch. Make sure you stay tuned. I got more vehicles lined up, and I can't wait to show more. And of course, we'll keep doing the reviews on the regular stuff too. So have a wonderful day. See you soon.